Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. Here we share beginner-friendly coding tutorials on Scratch, Roblox, Minecraft, web programming, and many more. Today we're going to create a web programming project called 3D Picture Cube. So we all know Mother's Day usually comes on the second Sunday in May. So in this project, I'll teach you how to use HTML and CSS to create this 3D picture rotating cube for this special occasion. In this project, I'll teach you how to use keyframes and transform properties to make the pictures rotate and animate like this. So yeah, let's get started. So I have gone ahead in codepan.io and created a new pen. So here, let's get started with our HTML. So for our HTML, we want to have a big div. And this div is going to have a class called wrapper. So a class called wrapper. And let's close out the div for wrapper over here. So now we have a div class called wrapper. We want to create another div class in here. So we'll create another div class. Whoops. Creates another div. And this class will be called box-area, like so. And again, let's close out this div for box-area. And within box-area, we want to have 5 more divs, and each div is going to have one side of the cube. And the reason why we only need 5 instead of 6 is because the 5th side of the cube actually overlaps with 6 when we're doing the animation. So the 6th side never gets shown, so that we only need 5 sides of the cube. So here, I'm going to make the first cube, class name of box1. And now close the div. Next, I'll make 4 more divs like this. So div class of equals box2 now. Close the div. And I'm going to make a div class equals box3. And then close the div. And I'm going to make 2 more. So here, div class will be equals to box4. And now close the div. And then lastly, I'll have my box5. Just like so. And so in our HTML, we have a main div called wrapper. Inside the wrapper, we have a second bigger div called box arena or box area. And inside the box area, we have the 5 sides of our cube that we're going to be rotating from, showing pictures. So yep, that is the HTML setup for this project. So going to the CSS, let's begin by constructing the design for the overall website. So let's go ahead to CSS and edit the body. Here we want to apply a margin and padding of 0. So we want to go margin, enter 0, and padding, and have 0 as our input. So now our margin and padding on all 4 sides will be 0. Next, we want to be changing and aligning the div in the center. So here we will have justified content to center. This way our main axis of the website will be centralized. And now let's do align items and also to center. So now the div of body will be centralized as well. Now let's make the background color to be pink to follow the spirits of Mother's Day. And lastly, we want to change the display type to flex. Having a display type of flex allows the divs inside to change size correspond to the parents. So here we'll have the div to be the same size as this parents container. So that flex really just allows overall adaptability for the website. So it will change size depending on your screen size, which is very helpful. Now let's take a look at wrapper. Here we just want to set the size for the wrapper and set a margin to the around so that nothing will be distracting us. So here let's go ahead and change the wrapper. And here, inside the wrapper, let's change the height and width to be 300 pixels. So here I will write width to be 300 pixels and set height also to 300 pixels. And again, we're gonna set a margin around the whole side. So we're gonna set 15% to the right and top side, and auto on the left and the bottom side. So we'll type margin 15% space auto, just like this. Next, let's go ahead and do our CSS for the box area. So let's go down and type box area. In box area, we want to actually define the animations. And here we actually be using WebKit-animation. This is to make sure that this animation will be accessible from any browser we use. So if you just use animation, sometimes some browser does not support just plain animation. So if we add in WebKit, it makes sure that our browser will support the animation. So here we write down the name of the animation. We're gonna name it animate. And the whole animation is gonna have 10 seconds of animation. So we want each the loop of animate to be 10 seconds. And we're gonna write ease in and out like this. And this will slow down the beginning and the end of the animation, providing a smoother transition. And we also want this to loop forever. So at the fourth parameters, let's type in infinite, like that. So we have WebKit animation, the name is animate. It goes on for 10 seconds, the whole animation. Ease in and out provides instructions to the start of the animation and end of the animation, and infinite tells that we should loop this forever. So we'll keep doing this animation as long as this website is getting loaded. Next, let's set just a normal animation now. And here we will have the same parameters. And the point is that if the computer does not support animation, it will use WebKit. But if it does support the normal animation, we'll just use that instead. So here, that's why we have two declarations of animation, one being WebKit and one being just plain animation. Now we want to do some kind of transform property to smoothen out the animation and make it more smooth. So here, let's add in a WebKit transform style. And now we can set the transform style to preserve 3D. Preserve 3D like that. And again, we're gonna do one without the WebKit. So we can write transform style preserve dash 3D, just like that. So this preserve 3D is a very important CSS option that allows us to blend in other elements into our main parents object. So here, again, continuing off with our WebKit and just normal style, we're gonna apply a WebKit of transform origin, like so. And here we're gonna put in 100 pixels, space 100 pixels, space 0. And again, we're gonna do one without the WebKit. So here we can write transform origin. And again, it will take in the same inputs, 100 pixels, 100 pixels, and 0. And lastly, this is the case for Internet Explorer. We can apply MS, transform origin, and this will make sure it'll work in Internet Explorer. So here again, we're going to use 100 pixels by 100 pixels and 0. So this will be the CSS for a box area. So now let's set up our keyframes animations. So right now our keyframes has been assigned the name of animate. So in this animate animation, we have all 5 sides to show in 10 seconds over here, the full duration of the animation. And the way we're going to show the pictures pretty much one by one is by rotating our cube and setting up our pictures with an angle so that whenever we rotate, it will show one of the sides, but not all 5 sides. So here, let's define our keyframes. So here we can do add keyframes, and we can write animate. This is the same name as we have over here. Now we're defining this animate animation. And here we want to write from and to. And in here, the from is going to be the beginning of the animation, while to is going to be the end. So here we can write WebKit transform, and we're going to rotate the x-axis to 0 degrees, rotate the y-axis to 0 degrees, and rotate the z-axis to 0 degrees. And this would be the first line, and this would be the from. So in the beginning, we want to have no rotations with our box area. And at the end, we also want it to go back to the first side of the cube. So it will be the exact same line. So here we can just kind of retype what we have here. So WebKit transform rotates X to be 0 degrees, rotates Y also to be 0 degrees. And again, rotate Z will be 0 degrees as well. And now after we have this from and to, we can actually details the very percentage of the animation. So we can say at 16% or 35% of the animation completion, we want to reach this state. So using percentage, we can actually layer the whole animation pretty much from 0 to 100%. So here we're going to have 16%. This is 16% of the way to the whole animation. Here we want to apply a WebKit transform. And here we want to rotate our y-axis. So here we will rotate our y to negative 90 degrees. And this will change, it will rotate our box area by 90 degrees to the y-axis. And again, to make sure that this WebKit is used on all browsers, we can just simply type in one without the WebKit. So here we can say WebKit Y, rotate Y negative 90 degrees. And this will run on browser that supports it, and those that does not support the normal CSS animation will be able to run the WebKit. All right, so now we have the 16%. This is showing from the first side of the cube to the second by just simply rotating on our y-axis. And you can imagine we have two more sides on the y-axis that we can show. So we can keep rotating on the y, but for a cube, you can kind of just mess around with the degrees, and then between how you layer up each percentage, you can see how the cube rotate as an animation. So here I'm gonna add 33%. This is the second part of the animation. So here we want to apply a WebKit transform again. And now this time we want to rotate the y-axis by, again, negative 90 degrees. So we're actually not changing it. And now we're going to rotate the z-axis to 90 degrees. And again, we're going to do a version without the WebKit. So again, I can just copy and paste this like that. And you can copy and paste the same code without the WebKit part. So now that we've done 33% and 16%, let's keep going. The next step is going to be at 50% of the animation. Here we again want to apply the WebKit transform property. Here we want to transform it from transforming the rotate Y value to negative 180 degrees or negative 180 degrees. And rotate Z will still remain at 90 degrees. And again, we can just copy and paste this transform as it will be the same. Awesome. After 50%, let's go to 66%. Here, again, we'll be applying a WebKit transform. So WebKit transform. And now we'll be rotating the Y value once again. So rotate Y, and here we'll put in negative 270 degrees. And for the rotate Z, we'll remain it at 90 degrees. And again, you can copy the part without the WebKit and paste it right underneath it. Yes. So that for each step of the animation, there are two things we can do if one of them doesn't work. And here actually, this from and to, I actually made a mistake. There's no WebKit on the second line because that is the pattern we've been going for every step of the animation. So remove this dash WebKit dash on the second line from and to. Now the last step of our animation is going to be at 50, it's going to be at 83% of the animation. And this is, as you can imagine, from here, we can show the first picture, second picture, third picture, fourth picture, fifth picture. Now we're gonna have to rotate back. So here we're gonna have WebKit transform, and we're gonna have rotate X by negative 270 degrees. And that will be our only transform. So here we can again rotate X by negative 270 degrees, just like so. And this would be the whole animation for our animate. Just like so. And something we should do to prepare ourselves in case we do have to use a WebKit animation is that we should create a WebKit keyframes. And all of the code will actually be exactly the same since in here we have considered both cases. So here, let's just copy and paste from keyframes animate to the end of the decorations. Copy, you can either Control C or you can right click and say copy. And then go down, tap down a couple of lines and simply paste it. So now we have two of these animations, and change the second one where you type to be at WebKit, like that. So we'll just add in this dash WebKit dash in front of our keyframes. And now we have defined this WebKit animation as well. Awesome. So now the final thing is we have to do is define the CSS for these boxes. So here we can actually define all of them at once and just classify them in general and give them a size. To do that, we can do box area, and we can select all the div inside the box area. So here, all of these divs will be affected since it is inside of this div called box area. Here, we just want to give it a position of absolute. We want to change the width to be 300 pixels and the heights to also be 300 pixels. Because as you might remember in the very beginning, we have turned the wrapper to this size. And the final thing we'll do is change the line height to be 300 pixels as well. So next, we should finish this project by setting up our divs for the 5 side of the box. So here, let's do the first box. So we can do this by box area and selecting dot box 1. Here, I will first add a background image. So I'll write background image. And I'm gonna give it a URL source, and the link is gonna be in here. So I have picked out a picture myself. You guys could pick out any pictures you want, as long as you guys have a link to the picture or a way for your computer to load the picture. You can load it in here. And after that, let's change some of the properties. Let's make sure that this picture will be centralized and fill up the whole box. To do this, let's change the background size to cover. And let's change the background position to centered and centered. And this 3 lines, apart from the URL, of course, will be the 3 common factors between the 5 different boxes. And the things that they differ is going to be the transform underneath here. So here, let's first define a transform for box 1. Again, we're going to have to be sure to include the WebKit transform as one of them to support all types of operating systems and browsers. So here, our WebKit transform will have a translate of Z, and then we say 100 pixels. This translate Z means that we can move on the Z axis 100 pixels both ways. And this is the maximum animation we can do. And again, we're going to set up a transform without the WebKit. Here we're going to say again, translate Z to be 100 pixels. So what I've quickly done here is after our box one, which we did together, I've inserted 4 more boxes. So box 2, box 3, box 4, and box 5. And as you can see, the background size and position are the same for all 4 of them, which is the same as our box 1 with cover and center. And the background image just have a different URL for different pictures. But as you can see, the 3 lines of code are pretty much identical. So now let's go over each box and let's change the WebKit transform and the normal transform value for each one of them. So for box 2, we again are going to apply a WebKit transform. For box 2, we're going to change to rotate Y. Here we want to put in a value of 90 degrees. And the second thing we want to change is again the Z. So let's translate Z and put in 100 pixels. And again, we can do the same trick without the WebKit and just from transform, highlight it all the way to the end of this, Control C, go down, Control V, and we'll paste the second line. And yeah. So let's do the same thing for box 3. So for box 3, we want to apply a WebKit transform. The first thing we want to do is rotate Y. We want to change this to 90 degrees. We want rotate X to be also 90 degrees. And again, we want to have the translate Z to be at 100 pixels. Okay. And again, we're going to have to write a transform without the WebKit, but with the same parameters. So we can easily just do this by copying and pasting this, the second part of this line without the WebKit. So this is our box 3. So now let's take a look at box 4. Again, we're going to apply a WebKit transform. And here we're going to have rotate Y be at 180 degrees. Now we're going to have rotate Z to be 90 degrees. And again, translate Z to be 100 pixels. And again, we can just drag in from starting from transform to the end of the semicolon and just copy and paste this part as it will be the same as this WebKit simply without the WebKit keyword. And for our 5th box, let's again add in a WebKit transform. And here we want to say rotate X to be negative 90 degrees and translate Z to be 100 pixels. And again, we want the part without the WebKit transform. So we just select transform to the semicolon, go down and copy and paste it. Awesome. And as you can see now, our pictures for this 3D picture cube is completed. So that is all for today. In today's tutorial, we learned how to make a 3D picture cube using HTML and CSS for Mother's Day. Don't forget that you can change the picture to whatever you like and also the background color of the project. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like our videos. Also check out our other 2 videos here while you wait for our next video. Thank you and bye-bye.